恭敬大德僧听，为此法会及一切众生，请转妙法轮教导我们，如何了生脱死离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchedoye alahudi samya sanputoshe. Wu shang shen shen wei miao fa, bai qian wan jue nan zao yu. Wo jin jian wen de shou chi, yuan jie ru lai zhen shi yi. Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even in a million eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Shifu Shangren, Gowei Shizhung Daja Omitofo. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our Sutra lecture tonight. My name is Heng Sure. We're here at the Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. Tonight is actually November 24th. Happy birthday to all the Sagittarians who will be celebrating this month. The sun has actually moved into that part of the sky now. So we're going to be investigating the Flower Garland Sutra, the ninth of 10 stages. And in order to begin, we want to invoke spiritual presence. You've all got one of these texts in front of you. If you're listening in Australia or in China, thanks to our kind Australian Dharma friends who were translating for listeners in China, you're going to want to look at the text that's available on dharmaradio.net. Where do they get? There's a Berkeley Monastery. berkeleymonastery.org is where you can download a copy of tonight's text. On the front cover is the name of the Flower Garland Sutra and the Ocean-Wide Assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. That's the official title that we invoke. The idea is it's an invitation. We're saying we're interested in these Dharma lessons. Could you bring your light? Would you please give us the benefit of your blessing so that we can investigate the sutra together? So that's the idea. We do it in Chinese, and that's down below, the bottom two lines. Here we go. That's the melody. Ready? Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yan Jing Wai Yan Ai Wei O Pu Namo Da Fang Guang Hua Yen Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui O Pu Sa Namo Da Hua Yen Jing Hua Yen Hai Hui O Pu Sa Namo Da Quang Fu Hua Yen Ji Hua Yen Hai O Pu Sa Namo Da Quang Fu Hua Yen Ji Hua Yen Hai O Pu Sa Namo Da Fang Fu Hua Yen Ji Hua Yen Hai Wei O Pu Sa. One more time. Namo Da Fang Guang Fu Hua Yen Ji Hua Yen Hai O Pu Sa. I guess in a traditional church that would be the organ part. Can you see her at the organ? Sing along, everyone. So we do it on a steel string guitar here in California. Page 58 and 59, please. 58, 59. So what I said earlier was that we've got quite a, over the years we've bit by bit developed use of electronic tools to make this series go further. Early on, it was called Pal Talk. Remember, Guo Hong, our erstwhile Vietnamese translator, would sit up in the balcony with, I think, a 386 PC computer and take our lecture out to Europe via Pal Talk. And it proved to be short-lived. Then we contracted with the same organization that Grace Cathedral uses to go out to the internet. We had to that was for pay, for hire. It was a good setup. Grace Cathedral went on to become GraceCom. They went high-tech. And priced out of our budget. And so we then at one point, what was the next step? There was a third step. What was it? Ustream, ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. Ustream, right? Ustream, I forgot. Yeah, Ustream. And that was, that was cutting edge at the time. And then somebody said, hey, YouTube is going over to live streaming for free. So we started our YouTube did I miss a step? That was it. YouTube. So a YouTube channel, Dharma Live. By golly, the price is right. Under a nickel. Free. And we've stuck with YouTube. But we also have GoToMeeting at the same time going out, which is a new, at the time, inconceivable function whereby one voice can go around the planet. If you think about it, what in the past allowed anybody to have their voice be heard simultaneously at points around the globe? Back in the day, the most global event was New Year's, and I was in the Midwest, and the big thing was, it's now New Year's in New Zealand. New Zealand always got New Year's first, right? And then the planet would turn, and they'd go to Sydney, and then Adelaide, and then to Hong Kong, and on around as the planet turned, and finally got to us in the Midwest 12 hours later. So there was some intrepid correspondent in Auckland. We're here in Auckland, and it's New Year's already. So you had to wait till the planet turned. The Olympics was a major event, right, a global event. And then the World Cup. And I was not a soccer fan, but the World Cup was a big deal. People would get up at 2 in the morning to see the games being played somewhere in India or something, South Africa. So now, one voice simultaneously can be heard in Hanoi, in Dublin, in Cape Town, in Paris, in Fort Lauderdale, in Seattle, here in Berkeley. So amazing. Our lecture is now going global, but 2 young men in Gold Coast, Queensland, Sam and Cliff, Chinese translators, said, how come we can't be heard in China? So they found YY.com. YY.com is a networking software in China. And they're sitting in the Gold Coast in Australia with headphones on, hearing my voice at this moment, and translating it into Mandarin and sending it out to China. So, with an Aussie accent on their Chinese. Right? Yes, right. Right. Doi la. Doi ba doi. Right? So, that's a Mandarin with an Aussie accent. You understand? So, anyway, we appreciate that. And now we're going global, by golly. And because of China scale, this phenomena called China scale, soon the Chinese listeners are going to largely outnumber us. But it's nice to see so many flesh and blood folks right here with us in Berkeley. Last week, because of the air quality, a lot of folks stayed home. But everybody came this week. It's great to see you all. So with that in mind, having our voice truly go global, let's look at actually it would be the 3rd paragraph, line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Line 7 in our text, 此菩萨以如是智慧, right there. The English is, with this wisdom. That's where we are, and we'll read a bit and then come back and talk about it. The word that you're going to see repeated 10 times over is 愁林, 2 second tones. 愁林, dense forest, or miasma. Okay? It's both a physical forest and it's also a mental state. All right, are we ready? Okay, I'm going to put my palms together. You're welcome to join me if you care to. Here we go. Ready? 此菩萨以如是智慧，如实知众生心愁林，烦恼愁林，业愁林，根愁林，解愁林，性愁林，乐欲愁林，随免愁林，受伤愁林，习气相续愁林，三聚吃别愁林。Okay, good. Excellent. Let's look over to the right. Our English. Ready? Let's do it together in unison. Here we go. With this wisdom, the Bodhisattva knows the reality of the dense thicket of sentient beings' minds, the dense thicket of their afflictions, the dense thicket of their karma, the dense thicket of their faculties, the dense thicket of their understandings, the dense thicket of their natures, the dense thicket of their delights, the dense thicket of their clingings, the dense thicket of their rebirths, the dense thicket of their continuing habits, and their dense thicket of their 3 classes of beings, and that's toward awakening. Okay. So the sutra is called the Flower Garland, the Avatamsaka, known in Chinese as the Huayan Jing. Japanese call it the Keigon Kyo, right? And we've named it different things in English. Flower adornment, flower garland, Garland Sutra. Think lei. When you go to Hawaii, used to be you get off the airplane and they would put this rope of flowers around your neck, flower lei. Think garland. The analogy being that the teachings inside it are the individual blossoms, strung together with compassionate string to make a decoration. This chapter is one of the longer chapters, chapter 26 out of 40, called the 10 Stages, and we've been lecturing on it for years. We're now at 9 out of 10. We're almost finished. Jin Hosher, is my voice loud enough in the back? Can you hear me? Good enough? Okay. I guess it's the moisture in the air. It feels kind of like there's no resonance. We've been so used to dry, you know. No rain for months that now it kind of, that's okay. We'll take it. What's being talked about is a bodhisattva. The bodhisattva, Sanskrit word awakened being. You, me, your sister, your brother, who are awake, not asleep. The Buddha described us as being asleep with our eyes open. Right? He also talked about living beings as 醉生梦死. We're born drunk and we die in a dream. So, not very complimentary when it comes to living beings, right? Us. And with that in mind, the Buddha's purpose in talking about this text about bodhisattvas is how to wake us up. It's interesting that there's a new word in the culture. It's just popped up the last year called awoke, right? Is that it? Is awoke? Awoke men. I think it came along with hashtag #MeToo. That asleep was Harvey Weinstein and all the gang who saw women as prey. And they're in their role as predator, right? And that's asleep. If you think about your mom being a woman, she's not prey unless you're seriously asleep. No one thinks of their mother as someone to attack, you know. So, awoke would be somebody who's, we have the different, that state of awakened, we talked about in other ways. This person's consciousness raised, or sensitive, or there's some other words we described when somebody back in the earliest flickerings, I'm old already, and so I think I can remember back to the 60s. Roberto, there aren't many of us in this room, you know. Sally, a couple of us, you know. Remember the 60s, you know. Oh my God, it was a good time to be alive, you know. Jeez, that's scary, you know, to look back. So back in the day, if you were awoke, you were called a tree hugger, a granola eater, a Birkenstock wearer, right? You ever own a pair of Birkenstocks? I never did. So those are, you know, ways to describe. Cold? Putting a jacket on? I'm watching for people freezing here. All right. So now we're awoke, and that's a step forward towards what the Buddha is talking about. The Bodhisattva is awoke. He, she, gender free, is not asleep in the old way. So the ninth stage, the ninth level of Bodhisattva being described here is somebody who is awakened to kind of the deeper sleep, which is aware of his or her own mortality but not morbid. Aware that the number one problem for us is that we come and go every 6, 7, 8, 9 decades. We're gone again. As the Buddha would say, we die and come back, and we die and come back, and we die and come back. And that sudden awareness of a prince in 5th century BCE in India was the start of our story as Buddhists. Just that number one awareness, that this is really transient. This doesn't last. Man, oh man, when an entire town of 26,000 people, from 6 in the morning when the fire began to 8 in the morning when the flames were at your back door in paradise, and this was a very desirable rural community in California, who knew that 8 hours later it would be gone? That's how fast. You know. The stories that we've been reading about the Butte County, Chico, Paradise, Concau, Magalia, the name of that town, that fire came faster than anybody imagined. They said, and this is one of those shake your head, can't quite believe it, they said when the fire was running down that valley from where it started, it was covering a football field in area per second. Wow! That fast. Dry. Really dry. So how impermanent is that? And from another point of view, totally natural, right? Fire consumes. Unfortunately, people were living there. So as people, we're deeply concerned about that state of impermanence. But there you go. Buddha says, we're asleep. We live as if that weren't the truth. So, excuse me. You don't have to translate that sneeze, Sam. It's okay. 中文叫什么叫哈欠吗？哈欠。So, that's the sleepy part. We don't live as if that were our reality, because why? How do you face that? You wind up being morbid. You are obsessed, or just one of those Buddhists where it's all suffering all the time. You know, lighten up, you Buddhists. Yeah, but 900 single-family dwellings gone, you know. Think of the choices you make at that point. Do you rebuild, knowing that it could happen again? So last year it was Santa Rosa, Redwood Valley. This year it was Paradise. Dolly Parton has that song, "There's trouble in paradise." Whew, I'll say, there's no longer paradise to have trouble in. Man, what do you do? So next year, where will it be? That's our new state of being until the rain falls. The Forestry Service has been talking about this for years and years and years and saying we are now at critical dryness. Remember 2 years ago, that was the Chronicle, our local newspaper, had the story. They said, we're really scared because we've never seen California this dry. 5% moisture in the trees. 5% moisture is not sustainable. The next step is dead trees because it's just too dry, but it won't rain. So, it's not that we didn't know, but man, it's brutal. Your heart just hurts for folks who don't have a roof in Thanksgiving. My goodness. So, here's the Bodhisattva who says, yup, correct, that's where we are. I'm going to work. Let's all wake up together. How do we do it? How do we develop the awarenesses and the practices that can take us from the state of slumber to awakening, and do it together? So that's what this text is. It's a how-to. This is a how-to manual. That's the issue. And people who we've been talking. Our Dharma brother Ming Yin is here from Bailin Si, and we've been talking about the state of Buddhism in China and the state of Buddhism in outside of China, and how we're working together to make sense of texts like these. How do we take it from a culture-bound perspective? What do people think about the Avatamsaka Sutra in China? Mostly they say, oh, it's the highest peak of Buddhist philosophy. Too complicated, therefore don't bother. Nobody understands it. It's too lofty, right? Well, are the Chinese wrong? No, they've been looking at this text, mostly keeping it in the closet, in the cupboard. But they've been doing it for thousands of years. How could they be wrong? So our teacher, Master Shen Hua, brought this text to America and said, open it up, let's look at it. Take a look, then decide. So 9 years later of effort, every night, he said, what do you all think? And you read this text and you go, boy, that's true talk. This is what the Buddha saw first upon awakening. The traditional setting for this says, under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha woke up and said, here's what I'm seeing. Can you dig it? More or less. Probably didn't say that exactly, but more or less. Said, here's what I see. And described the state of the universe, called the Dharma realm, and the beings who inhabit it. What is he saying tonight? He's saying, look at the reality of living beings, sentient beings' minds. You know what it's like? It's a cholin. It's a dense thicket. They're deep asleep. Not only are they asleep, they're deeply asleep in the dense thicket. My God, what is a dense thicket like? We don't, thickets, that's not a everyday word. How about bramble? Maybe in downtown Berkeley, maybe in Fremont and Santa Clara and Danville, we don't have that many thickets. Boy, go out to the coast. Go to Highway 1. The PCH, Pacific Coast Highway. That's a piece of real estate that I'm intimately familiar with. I crawled along it for about 2.5 years. There are a lot of dense thickets. Man, oh man, are there dense thickets. Why? The weather on the coast favors whatever grows strong and quick. Blackberries. Blackberry brambles. B-R-A-M-B-L-E, right? You know, brambles. Just mostly on Highway 1 or in freeways, we don't get out of our car. No reason to. If you do, it's because you got a flat or you have to adjust something. Once you get out of your car, what you discover is, oh my goodness, alongside the road, there's, particularly on the coast, there are brambles. Brambles are canes, vines, that grow together from all directions and make this impenetrable hedge, bushes, thickets. And they're thorns. Man, oh man, you don't walk through a bramble. I have a story that I'm going to bring up later about what happen, how you can transform a bramble into real berries, but we'll get to that in a minute. The thing about brambles is they are, the Chinese say, 乱七八糟. They grow in every direction. They're just like this. And rabbits can get through them because they have their coats are elastic and the thorns prick them and then unprick. And birds, small birds can fly through them, and little rodents run through. And bees love them, because for a week or two every spring, they're full of flowers. But other than that, if you can grow a bramble, pretty much you've got a impenetrable hedge. That's one visual example. Anybody ever go into rural England and into the lanes? England has hedges, right? They're hedgerows. And my goodness, England has lots of single lane roads out on the countryside. And the hedges are over the tops of the cars, and they're impenetrable. Somebody said that if Hitler had actually crossed the English Channel, he probably would have been stuck fast because his tanks couldn't have gone anywhere. The hedgerows in England would have stopped him, you know, the way, luckily, the RAF stopped him beforehand, but before he crossed. But those hedgerows are, you know, you don't go sideways. You go only the direction, the single lane of the track, because you can't go through those hedgerows. Rabbits, again, rabbits love them. They're safe from hawks and things. But people don't penetrate those hedgerows. All right, Cholin, we got the image of what a bramble is, what a hedgerow is. This is an analogy for the interior of our minds. The Buddha is using this natural image to talk about our state of mind. Using his X-ray vision, his wisdom, looking inside what our internal weather is like, what the landscape is like inside. Impenetrable. But what is he talking about? What's the first one? Afflictions, right? He said the Bodhisattva uses his wisdom. In other words, he can see through the surface to what's going on inside. Ru shi, the way it really is, like it really is. Zhi, knows. Zhong sheng, xin, cholin. The brambles, the berry vines, the thickets, the hedgerows of my mind. As it really is. Okay? Not very flattering, right? But true. Then it says, fan nao cholin, and that starts this list. See that word popped up 10 times, right? So, reality of our minds and our fan nao. What's a fan nao? Important word in Buddha Dharma. It's troubles. The troubles in our minds. The hassles, the miseries. We got lots of words that correspond to fan nao in our lives. The blues. That's what it's talking about, right? That's a really, really serviceable word, the blues, because that's the color of our state when things go wrong. The miseries, right? I got the miseries. I'm miserable. That's affliction. Affliction is kind of a 50-cent word. That's the uptown word, right? Downtown word is, I got the blues. I got trouble. Like what? Like a cholin, the word cho, we looked it up today. We challenged ourselves. We got the dictionary out, electronic dictionary. I actually got my Matthews Chinese English dictionary to see if it had the compound of cholin. No, it didn't. But the cho part is dense. It's like not very spacious, but tightly packed. And look at that second word, lin. Everybody see it? It's L-I-N there. You can find it 10 times in this paragraph. It's two trees standing together. That lin is actually one of the pictograms. It's a grove. It's a, not a forest. In Australia, what's it called? It's a bush, mate. Bush. Right. It's two trees. Interestingly, there's another word they put together with it called cun. Cunlin is 3 trees. Cun, forest. Right. When I grew up, it wasn't the bush, it wasn't a forest, it was the woods. Let's go into the woods, right? Go find the shade on a hot day in the woods. So, cholin, densely packed woods. So, dense thicket, dense forest, okay. You could call it the bush of living beings' minds. The dense thicket of our troubles. So many troubles. From the Buddha's X-ray vision, it looks like a forest of them. Covering what? Covering our totally pure, totally radiant, totally perfect and complete Buddha nature. But you can't see the nature for the dense thicket, right? Can't see the forest for the trees, can't see the nature for the dense thicket. Can't see the bush for the impenetrable growth, undergrowth of our minds and our afflictions. There's too many. So you get the idea? This is the Buddha describing what he sees when he looks at us. How radiant is your nature? Let me clear away all this bush here. Get some forest management practices here. Cal forestry and burn the undergrowth so that we can prevent the forest fires next time. What's next? Dense thicket of our karma. Okay, we've been working with that word a lot, and same description. When I was growing up, karma meant one thing, bad, and you didn't want it. That's actually inaccurate. Karma is a neutral word. It's both bad and good. You could have a dense thicket of good karma, probably, but it wouldn't be a thicket. It would be a thinning of that stuff that covers over the nature. In this case, what is karma? It's the results of action. Karma doesn't mean automatically bad. It means action and its equal and opposite reaction. It's a very Newtonian concept. Newtonian physics. Every action is followed by an equal and opposite reaction. Right? Truly. That's the way the Buddha described it. It's one of the basic principles of the universe. The Buddha observed it, didn't invent it, didn't own it, didn't claim it, just said, here's what I see. Good deeds bring about good reactions. Negative deeds bring about the stuff you don't want. So much that it's like a dense thicket. Okay? Now, looking at our minds, our afflictions, and our karma, he's going, gee whiz, how am I going to get these folks to wake up? Because they're me. I am them. And being asleep increases the chance you're going to bump into stuff and hurt. So we need to wake up and bring the light. I've got to clear out this dense thicket. Next is Gun Chodin faculties. Faculties. We were saying today, talking with Master Ming Yin, we were saying that among the various schemes that people have come up to talk about our lives, Buddhism is scientific. And that's not an exaggeration, that's not an apology. It's scientific in that it yields to analysis. Right? The Buddha did, with one exception, that's the Pure Land, the Buddha didn't say, believe me. This is the truth. He didn't say that, which is surprising when you face that reality. What he did say was, look into it for yourself. If it's wholesome, if it works for you, pick it up and run with it. It's yours, not mine. I don't know Buddha Circle R trademark. Look into it. You'll discover that people have varying faculties. Faith being one of them. 五根五力, the 5 kinds of faculties which when you exploit them, when you put them to work for you, they become 5 kinds of strength. Things that you base your life on. Count on them because why? You stepped down on it and it held you. It was reliable. It was solid and stable. Scientifically approached, right? Empirically approached, tested out. Take a hypothesis, work with it. If it's valid, make it yours. Use it till it's no longer useful. Find another one. Faculties. Okay, the next is jie. Faculties would be innate, that is to say, we come with them. Jie are learned. Those came with stories. Somebody said it was the case. You trusted them, you believed in them, you picked it up. They were embedded in the language that you learned. They came with your race. They were racially based understandings. They came with your culture. They were in vogue at the time. They were hip at the time. Right? What about language? My gosh. This is so poignant for me personally. I am blessed with the opportunity to speak Dharma around the world, to go into these stories with people. And I grew up, like all of us did, at a certain time in a certain place. And I absorbed a certain number of stories and cultural assumptions, jokes, songs, news events that happened while I was awake and aware. When you go to another culture entirely and try to explain things out of your knowledge, they don't communicate. Nothing like having your best jokes go flat because people are like, what? No, I never heard of the Beatles. Bob who? Dylan? What? So I grew up in the Midwest at the time when television was new. I was born in 49. TV came along in the early 50s. Every family had a small black and white tube, right? And there were 3 channels, thank you very much, NBC, CBS, ABC, and Kukla, Fran, and Ali. Anybody? Kukla, Fran, and Ali? No. Soupy Sales, right? From Detroit. I grew up in Toledo. Phil, you remember Soupy Sales? Yeah. You're admitting your age, Phil. So, boy, oh boy, what was big was baseball on TV. And of course, baseball brought you beer advertisements. So I grew up absorbing the sales jingles for 4 different kinds of beer. Smoother and fresher, less filling, that's clear. Blatz is Milwaukee's finest beer, right? Blatz beer tastes great wherever you go. You should sit in my head and meditate sometime. It's like, why am I singing a beer jingle? B.F. Goodrich, Goodyear, Pirelli was new. Tire advertisements, right? And I knew the differences. Automobile, all the auto ads, right? See the USA in your Chevrolet. America is asking you to call. Right? Oh, man. Whew. That was part of my cultural heritage. And it's not Shakespeare, right? But it's mine. That's what you had yours, right? I remember going to Taiwan in 1969 and watching this small black and white TV and 好吃吧吃东东果 popsicles, right? 东东果 好吃 And okay, you had yours, I had mine. So it's funny how they really don't communicate. Why? 解抽离 Various understandings, right? What's your understanding? Is it going to be the same? So the excitement, the fun part, is when you find cultural understandings that do connect, that do communicate, that go deeper than time and place. Then you're into the gold, right? Why? They are shared because of our human Dharma realm, our species, right? They're species-wide understandings, which is such as what? Love of stories. That stories carry the mail. And when you can identify some of the deeper cultural connections and then move them forward. Move them forward. For example, here's one. How about the idea that humans have to eat meat to be healthy? Oh, that's interesting. Pinch, right? And somehow the idea that meat is our best nutrition. That's pretty worldwide, right? And mind you, I'm not going to preach it tonight because it's an old battle. The idea that we're omnivores and meat is so deeply in the culture that my own Irish, Scottish heritage uses meat as a synonym for food entirely. Some hae meat and cannot eat, and some be those who want it. But we hae meat and we can eat, and so the Lord be thanked, said Robert Bruce. Robert Burns. Robert Bruce, another Scotsman. So, meat means food. There's no difference, right? Well, there are other cultures that say bread. We share bread, break bread together, meaning food. Chinese, fan. Rice is food, right? Right? Did you eat rice or not? It means, did you eat? Did you have a meal, right? In Poland, you don't say, did you eat rice? Right? Not that much rice in Poland. Some. Yeah. Bread. If you want to eat bread, go to Poland. Oh, my. Every morning, the bake shop brings a dozen kinds, right? Pumpernickel with rye or without rye, right? Sesame seeds. So, boy, oh boy, why? Well, why? We could go down that road, but we'd lose our thread here. The point is, if you can find the cultural understandings that are shared and then apply a Buddhist, compassionate perspective that sees what? Tong ti, da, bei, same body, great compassion. That says, right, earth, air, fire, water, make this thing. As I look at how many million turkeys on how many million Thanksgiving tables, I see earth, air, fire, and water. All right, so where I live in southeastern Queensland, turkeys are my neighbors. They come every day. There's a family of 5, 1 male, 4 wives, or they might even be sisters. I'm not sure. I don't ask. It's not polite to ask. So, but the male comes and there's the dish. He very proudly eats his fill. And the females are circling around. You missed some. Stand straight. And he's like, he shuts him off and he asserts his masculine prerogative to get to the food first, right? And then he's done, and he walks away like this, just full of attitude, and sits up top and watches while the females come, and there's always a runt, and the runt gets picked on. Boy, that poor little girl, or the youngest wife, or the concubine, I'm not sure what. But she's like, she has to wait, and she's missing feathers here and there, and she gets pecked at, and then she, gets in and dodges and grabs a bite. It's either because she's the smallest, but I've been watching, and I think it might be that she's just not a very nice person. She deserves all that, she's a nag maybe, or she's just irritating. But anyway, she comes last, and often the sun will be set, sun will have set. The others have gone with the patriarch, and she's eating her fill at the end in the dark. And I go, man, stick with it. We'll always make sure there's birdseed for you. Don't worry. I'm sorry you have to put up with all that affliction, But those are my neighbors, and I watch them interact, and there's this drama happening in front of me, and they have these dinosaur feet as they walk, and they clearly care deeply about each other, and they've got these layers of interaction based on their perception of each other and their total turkey consciousness and the knowledge that every turkey carries and their faculties and their understandings and their natures, right? The next one, the dense thicket of their natures. And not once does the thought occur to me, I wish you were upside down on my dinner table, ready for me to eat. It doesn't occur to me that this is food that I should put into my body. I should incorporate and ruin their lives so I can eat them and then, it doesn't occur to me. Instead, it's like, why are you picking on that last one? She's just like, okay. You understand something I don't know. Maybe I don't know her. Maybe if I knew her, I would feel the same way about her. Who knows? She might be a real pain in the neck, So, but I watched the little tiny rainbow lorikeets. There's this couple. We have a couple of they're a pair. Rainbow lorikeets mate for life. And they're this big, and the turkeys are this big, and the rainbow lorikeets totally, completely bully them and intimidate them. And the rainbow lorikeets land on the feeder, and they're like, this is our feeder. Watch your step. And the turkey's like, okay. It's just amazing. I have this video. We showed it today. And these little tiny birds are bullying the huge turkeys. And the turkeys are, it's okay, just we'll wait. Take your time. And then the lorikeets fly away and the turkeys come back, And you go, man, this world is a sentient world. And Tong Ti Da Bei, same body, great compassion. What is important to these critters is important to me. And all we have to do is take the time and watch how they interact, and we can recognize ourselves. I am so happy that I am not their food. And it doesn't occur to me that I would be happier if I ate their bodies. That's not it. What a blessing that my life has led me to that place where I don't have to put flesh into my body to feel full. I'm pleased at that, So maybe someone will say, oh, you tree-hugging, Birkenstock-wearing, granola-eating hippie, child of the 60s. Yeah, proudly, you betcha. I get such incredible joy and self-recognition out of watching these animals interact in front of I have a deck, my cabin in the woods there, that I get to watch them live their lives for the price of birdseed, literally for the price of birdseed. That's all it takes, is to get them to interact on my deck, interspecies, from the little ones to the big ones. And boy, is it a mirror for myself, and it explains the sutra. Their natures. What's the nature of a turkey? It's been a while. Have people seen that documentary, My Life as a Wild Turkey? You know that one? Is that kind of passed out of our... There's an incredible documentary. I think, was it PBS? I don't recall. But it's called My Life as a Wild Turkey. And it's a naturalist in rural Florida who took the time. It's beautifully photographed. It's one of those documentaries where you think, how did they get these pictures? How did they possibly do this? But somebody, pickup truck drives up. He's in totally a cabin in the woods, like us in Queensland. Somebody dropped a it's a styrofoam drink carrier, car carrier for keeping your drinks cold. In this case, he opens the lid, and here are a dozen wild turkey eggs, warm. And he looks at them and he goes, "Wow." Before that, he spent time with coyotes, I believe. It was his last research project for years. Now he's moved to Florida, in the bush, in the Floridian bush, and he's decided to switch to turkeys. So he gets an incubator. He turns them every 4 hours, 12 eggs, turns them, and he works it out so as the eggs open, the first thing the turkeys see is his face looking at them. The birds bond on him, on the human, and they totally bond. It's like their first impulse is mom, The first sight is mom. And one by one, they all come out of their eggs and they start to follow him around. And he raises these beautiful turkeys. And he's got a film crew watching this whole process. And what he discovers breaks all of your stereotypes about dumb turkeys. Wow, just this stupid as a turkey, Oh, this turkey, meaning this loser, this reject. You cannot think that after watching this hour-long documentary about the secret life of turkeys. He becomes the turkey whisperer. He knows all the birds' personalities, and he shows you graphically in front of you how there's one that loves to cuddle. I forget the name of the turkey, but one of these turkeys, as they grow up, is a lap turkey. It's always on him. He's just, and the turkey is on him. And the other one, there's one who's the curious one, courageous, and is always the first one out there to check stuff out, to peck it. And he learns what they eat, and in the process he tries grasshoppers, and no. He follows the turkeys to eat grasshoppers, and no. And at a certain point, they leave him and take roost up in the trees outside his cabin, and he learns how the turkeys have this, they all say goodnight to each other. They all go, which is to say, I'm over here, where are you? And then like that, and he learns turkey. He can speak turkey because why? Talk turkey, right? So that's one of our Chongyus, talk turkey. It's true because why? He was with them as they learned language, turkey talk, and he just watches and he learns. When a snake appears, they have special words for snake, which he learns, and they can distinguish venomous rattlers from harmless garter snakes. And Florida is a snake-intensive state. And a rattlesnake appears, and the turkeys all form a circle around it and attack it. And they're very skillful at avoiding snake bites. At the same time, they give that rattlesnake trouble. The rattlesnake flees, and the turkeys chase it out of the neighborhood with special names for it. Special turkey words for, get out of here, you nasty rattlesnake. We don't want your kind around here. This swamp ain't big enough for both of us. So the rattlesnake splits, and then comes, oh my goodness, adolescence, mating time. Oh no. They have to pair off, and they attack him because he's a competitive male. And at that point, things change because now they're pairing off. And fascinating moments in this. There's a tree is cut, a sapling is cut, a sizable sapling. And the turkeys make a circle around the stump of the tree and mourn the death of the tree. And he's going, oh, watch. And the turkeys they're very solemn around the tree trunk because they're seeing something that he's not. It's an incredible documentary. Really recommend it. And you never again say, Roberto, you remember? It's what? It's on YouTube. Remember the title? Is it My Life as a Turkey? Check it out. Definitely recommend it. Sherry can find it and put a link to it on there, so in the chat box. My Life as a Turkey. Wonderful, wonderful documentary. And so death is something that these animals, these birds, really pay attention to. They mark the death of things like trees, and then one of the turkeys dies. And he reports how hard it is to get past it. And, and the turkeys themselves. So it's, they grow up, and he has separation anxiety, and all of the things that happen because he took the time to bond with these feathered sentient beings. And of course, having a turkey's body is a limitation, but the rich knowledge shared by turkeys, there is definitely a body of knowledge that you need if you're going to be a successful turkey. And they pass it on to each other. And he's with them and watching with these incredible cameras as they discover things like rain, right? And the things they say to each other as the sun sets. Time to get up to the tree. Better go up now. It's dark and just the foxes are coming, So, man, oh man, it changes your world. But the dense thicket of their understandings and their natures, yeah. See it before you. That's one of the real benefits of technology is movie cameras now can enter into that world and show you. But I don't have the benefit of a movie camera. I am just there in the bush watching these Australian animals that have not changed for millions of years. Australia has the benefit of very sparse population density, the lowest, right? Australia's land mass, same as the U.S., population, same as Taiwan, roughly the same as Rhode Island, 23 million. Great empty continent. The dense thicket of their delights. What do living beings enjoy? The Bodhisattva knows those, and he's going to use them to teach them. Use them to teach us. Ice cream. Chocolate. Right? What do we love? Movies. How wonderful is the silver screen? Go in, get ready, sit back in your seat, and dun-da-dun. What happens? I practiced that. How do you like it? Pretty good? I used to work for MGM. Yep. But then the unions changed, and I couldn't afford the scales. Okay. Anyway. We'll hear more from Ye. So, the movies, wow, how wonderful. The dense thicket of our, we could just change that there to our, right? And it would be a little closer. Of our clingings, the things we can't let go of. Boy, oh boy. Don't believe it? Go out into the Sierras without your flashlight on a new moon night. Boy, is it dark in the woods. Australia, very same bush that I'm talking about. Whoa. At night, you're a better man than I am, Gongadin. Better monk than I am to go out walking through the Australian bush at night without a light. There are large things out there between the trees that will happily... Oh my God. So Sam will laugh at this. He's translating right now for China. And Cliff, we get in the car. This now this is now summer there. It's winter, going into winter here. At night, around, in the when it comes to autumn, which is April, May, June, we get in the car and drive over to the Buddha Hall, which is a 5-minute drive, to explain the sutra. We'll be doing it in a few months for you all here. And the driveway is clear, no problem. Come back 2 hours later with a flashlight out the window as we drive at 5 miles an hour, and the very same driveway now has this huge spider web crossing the entire driveway, 30 feet, within 2 hours. Some enterprising arachnid, I'm an Aussie spider, mate, that's nothing, wow, cover the driveway with a web. And it's there, in the spotlights. Oi, mate, douse the light. Insects won't come, So, man, oh man. So, my clinging is I don't like spider webs on my face. So it takes, So when in Australia at night, you take a stick, you go like this in front of you as you walk. Sorry, mate. Rebuild your house later. Wow. The dense thicket of our rebirths. There we go. Buddha's wisdom says this one is not the only one. This is our current one. But we have had many, 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 many. We're going to have many, many, many more. So, isn't it interesting how we struggle with that one? Right? That's one of those conundrums that science and culture doesn't really take seriously. Another one is consciousness itself. That is, if you want to investigate, if you're a scientist, psychologist, a biologist, if you want to investigate cutting-edge stuff, tune in to the dialogues and the conferences investigating consciousness right now. Physicists. Does it exist? What's its limits? Can we measure it? You have to admire Henry Stapp and his colleagues. Professor Stapp is retired from UC Berkeley physics department, but if among laboratory scientists, if anybody is going to tell us where we came from and where we're going, it's the physicists, right? They're the high priests of laboratory science. And Henry Stapp was Wolfgang Pauli's student as they discovered quantum. Quantum did not behave the way Newtonian mechanics said it should. This happened over here, it shouldn't influence this over here, but it did. This couldn't have been caused by that because there was no evident direct cause, and yet there it was. So Professor Stapp said, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Went to India to investigate yoga, to see what the yogis knew. Talk about a true scientific mind. I want to learn myself, not take a hypothesis through language. Their laboratory is this thing. What do they know? Investigated yoga while keeping his feet firmly, strongly in the upper echelon of quantum physicists. So, how interesting, right? Man, that debate. Science demands proof. Proof is limited to eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Consciousness dances just beyond the senses, and yet it permeates. We talk about 18 realms. Eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness. Then we've got eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind, 6. I ran out of fingers. Add a finger. Then there's the transmitting consciousness, then there's the storehouse, the alaya consciousness, according to Master Xuanzhuang Dashi and his Wei Shi consciousness only school. So how come these Buddhists in China for thousands of years say, yeah, actually it really is there. You're talking through your consciousness right now. I'm hearing through my consciousness right now. Why does laboratory science have such a hard time unpacking consciousness? There's one. Anybody have a comment on that? Give an opinion? Roberto? The two extra ones. Yeah. Okay. So, what about those last two? Well, unfortunately, that would end the lecture. We would just touch the surface of it. But there's a school that developed in the Tang Dynasty in China that investigated consciousness, and the one who articulated it most clearly was a monk called Xuanzhuang. He went to India in search of the sutras, studied at Nalanda University, the seat of Buddhist learning, and mostly focused on one particular commentary called the Yogacara Bhumi Shastra, and given by Vasubandhu Bodhisattva, Maitreya Bodhisattva and all. And he brought it back to China and said, the old Buddhist model doesn't work anymore. What is the old Buddhist model? If you talk to a Bhante from Sri Lanka about consciousness, he would say, oh yes. Buddhism talks about consciousness. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, all six. But Bhante, what about the last two? What? No, only six. I've had that experience. And you go, wait, there are two more. There's the transmitting consciousness, which takes the sense experiences of your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, filtered through the front office of the mind, the sixth consciousness, which sorts them out, labels them, transmits them over the transmitting consciousness to the eighth consciousness, which is called the storehouse, the alaya vijnana. Hanzang Shi in Chinese. That is where all the seeds of your experience live, completely, yours, mine, hers, waiting for conditions to ripen so that they emerge into your body, manifest. When we die, says this theory, this is the school, that's the thing that moves. The dense thicket of their rebirths, the eighth consciousness is where the soul lives. So, important. That's an important question. And that's why I say if we were to investigate it, boy oh boy, right? So, consciousness there's a Shastra called the 100 Dharmas Shastra that says consciousness knows the difference. It's a function. This as the Buddha described it, it's just a function. Just like being able to see, my eye organ sees the object of sight and says, oh, color, light, motion, but the eye consciousness knows the difference. Oh, that's red, that's blue, that's bright, that's dark, that's still, that's moving. Consciousness is a function. That eighth one is different. At death, it's the last thing to go. At birth, at conception, it's the first thing that comes. So, the storehouse consciousness. The Theravada doesn't affirm the last two. So there's an interesting dialogue between Pali and Sanskrit-based text. So, rebirths, dense thicket. How many? Why does science just tippy-toe around the idea of rebirth? Matter is neither created nor destroyed, says Newton, right? Science. How come human experience somehow has only once, right? Talk about beer commercials. You only go around once in this life. Grab for all the gusto you can get. Name that beer. Oh, come on, you guys. Good for you. I was testing you. Good Buddhist, good Buddhist. That's okay. If you don't know, that's a good thing, right? Budweiser. Grab for all the gusto you can get. We only go around once in this world. Says who, dude? Have another beer. Go back to sleep. No, we don't. We go around many, 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 many times, says the Buddha's wisdom. Do I see it? No, I don't see it, but it makes sense. Why would human experience... How about people who remember their past lives? Anybody have prescient dreams where you just, you have this sense? Deja vu. Right? So science is allergic to the notion of reincarnation. And yet religious prophets, soothsayers, wise men and women of all space and time say, yep. The Shurangama Sutra talk about what's on the dinner table, what is on the dinner table. The Shurangama Sutra says, you eat a lot of mutton, you become a lamb. The lamb becomes a human and wants your body to pay it back. Kills you, eats you, and comes back as a lamb. We mutually consume each other. We're caught up in this cycle. So the Buddha, using this very same vision, is not tippy-toeing around the notion of diet. The dense thicket of their continuing habits. Oh boy. When you have a really, what's called a Ming Yin shanzhishi, a bright-eyed, wise advisor who sees your habits, he gives you a clue. Question? Nope. Peter Schmitz, Guozai, he won't mind if I tell this story. We have a faithful layperson in DRB named Guozai Peter. He's a former Marine, U.S. Marine. And Guozai accompanied us in 1978 to our first Asian delegation, along with Alan Nicholson and others, Doug Powers and others. And Guozai, his name means Zai, means vegetarian, right? Pure vegetarian. And Peter he's a Taurus, and he's a gentle soul, but he really wanted a Dharma all his own to cultivate. You could see he just couldn't let it go. He really wanted to know what he should cultivate. So from the beginning of the delegation, he would talk about it. He said, I kind of try this, and I try that, and I try this, and nothing kind of settles. And he says, someday I'm going to ask. And go, okay, Peter. So all through the delegation, Guozai was uneasy about what was the best practice for him. So he didn't speak Chinese. He does now. Peter went back to China and travels a lot through China. His Mandarin's pretty good. So the last day of the trip, we're in the car, having landed in San Francisco, and you can see Peter's getting up his courage, right? So the dense thicket of their continuing habits. So we knew this was coming. I was the translator at the time. So Peter got up his nerve and he said, Shifu, Shifu, I really want to know. He said, what's the best practice for me? Shifu looks at him and says, I gave you your name. Nobody's scolding you. Don't be greedy. And I didn't copy the heat of the answer. I just translated it. And Peter said, I got my name, Guozai, vegetarian, nobody's scolding me. I'm happy, he said. Thank you, Shifu, and bowed to him. Just like it was all he needed to hear. He had his name. Nobody scolding him. Good enough. That was it, you know. And somehow Shifu knew this. How do you teach a Marine, right? You scold him with a little bit of heat. You give him that strong response. Happy. His question went away. Perfect. Got his name. Nobody's scolding him. Don't be greedy. The dense thicket of their three classes of beings towards awakening. Among the various commentators, question what the three classes of beings here. You can add to it your various understanding of it. There's the really asleep, there's the not quite awake, and there's the awakened. Okay, good enough. So what do we have? These are our the state of our identity from the Buddha's vision. What's the benefit of the sutra? We temporarily look through the Buddha's eyes at ourselves. This is us through the Buddha's vision. And that's helpful to look. It's humbling. It's not the sense that we are made in God's image, right? Perfectible except flawed because of Adam and Eve, original sins. Like, okay, that's a story. That's a story. It works for many of the people on the planet. When we borrow the Buddha's vision to look at ourselves, he says, right, you're a future Buddha, but in between then and now, we got this problem called dense thickets covering your bright Buddha nature. Our minds, our afflictions, our karma, our faculties, our understandings, our natures, our delights, our clingings, our rebirths, our habits, and the three classes of beings towards future awakening, occluded, covered over, obscured, hemmed in by what's called a dense thicket, a cholin. Okay, I promised you a story, and after the story, we're going to invite Master Ming Yin to say a few words to everybody. On the Pacific Coast Highway, there are these brambles, berries, mostly blackberries, sometimes, I don't know, loganberries, whatever has thorns. And they grow impenetrable. You can't get through them. My goodness. We got to where Big Sur becomes Monterey. Monterey and Carmel are right at the top of Big Sur. And we saw this enterprising gardener who built his house on the coast side, on the cliff side of the highway, not the eastern side. And he had taken these brambles, these very same berries, and built a trellis. You all know what a trellis is? Trellis. A trellis is a woven wooden structure. I think it's also called a, there's another name for it, where you run the vines up. I saw it. I won't think of it. It's often in the shape of an arch, but it can just be a lattice work going straight up, something that vines climb on. He had built a trellis and trained the berry vines to climb it, and then cut away 2/3 of the vines. So where there were 3, maybe rooted with one root but 3 branches going up, he cut away 2. He pruned. Prune. He pruned the berry vines, thinned them 2/3 away. And the vines loved that trellis. They showed how they could climb, going up and around, and it made this incredible pergola. That's the word I was looking for. Pergola. Haha. They climbed up and made this solid wall up on the arch of the trellis. And because he pruned them by 2/3, the berries that grew on his pruned, trained vines were big and lush and ripe. He gave them air, and he allowed them not to compete for the nutrients. Right down below, where it wasn't trained, where it was still a bramble, the berries come out green and sour and nothing, small. Can't eat them, can't turn them into jam or jelly or pies or juice. But where he had thinned them out and trained them up over the trellis, the identical berry vines produced this ripe, delicious, sunny, sweet fruit. And we went, aha, the Buddha's precepts. Exactly. Our lives, if we don't cultivate, if we don't learn how to be people, brambles, 乱七八糟. This way, that way, all mixed up. No fruit, no benefit for anybody. A life that kind of came and went, right? The very same stock, the very same basic vines, when pruned with, be kind, cherish life, don't kill. Be kind, cherish material. Everybody needs it, don't steal. Be generous instead. Cherish relationships. Don't be promiscuous. Don't be adulterous. Keep your promises to your partner. Don't be promiscuous. Don't hurt people because of selfish sexual desire. You have blessed relationships, mutually nurturing, right? Contributing to the neighborhood, to the city, to the state, to the country, to the planet. Because we prune away selfish desire and channel it into commitment. Wow, suddenly fruit, right? Don't carelessly misuse speech. Cherish your language. Stand behind your words. Wow, the fruit of helpful speech. Words that actually light up the path, right? And then cherish your wisdom. Don't abuse substances that intoxicate the mind, right? So there you go. Prune away those extra vines and look what you get. You get a wise, humane, kind-hearted, useful human. Yet another species on the planet. And not the only one or the most important one, right? What does Buddha Dharma teach us? It takes humanity out of the center. What the Buddha Dharma, this is Ming Yin, this is the word I was looking for. Buddha Dharma is not a anthropocentric teaching. Humans in the middle. It's not. It's a mind-centric teaching. The mind is in the middle. When you put people in the middle of the planet, we run amok. We destroy it. The prediction as of yesterday, by the year, we're now 2018, by the year 2100, the planet's going to be 3 degrees warmer than it is now. No ice. Any of you want to have children? In their lifetimes, not so good. Why? Because of people in the middle. One species run amok. We have ruined it, right? No doubt. No matter what's his name says about global warming. Did you hear that tweet that he gave? Oh, it's frozen in New York City. What about global warming? Huh? Hoax. A couple scientists trying to get rich. So, my goodness. Buddha Dharma says the mind is in the middle, and if we can prune our selfish desires wisely, carefully, skillfully, we get human lives that are fruitful, helpful, that can take care of the planet and all this magic. But one species is going to ruin it for the turkeys. I'd almost rather be a turkey. I didn't mean that. Don't listen. Maybe I've been a turkey. Who knows? If I be a turkey, I want to be a kind turkey, all right? I don't want to bully the runt of the litter. So, anyway, there we go. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I didn't eat turkey this Thanksgiving.
What did you eat?
Tofurkey.
How was it?
Terrible. That's why nobody likes it. But anyway, I'm pleased with all you Buddhists. You also didn't have dead birds on your Thanksgiving dinner table. Congratulations. By the way, your mouth is moving.
I know. Shh, don't tell me. Sorry.
Just wanted to say, when the monk is in Australia, don't stop coming, all right? Dharma wheel's going to continue to turn. I may not be there, but I'll be behind you supporting you, right? So, also, congratulations all the Sagittarians.
But you're a Leo.
I know, but we like Sagittarians, so a lot of them here in the Buddhist world.
Okay, well, yeah.
My name is Nye. I'm the grandpa.
So, yeah. Okay. And,
next time you see me at the movies, you can wave. All right.
okay, good fellow. There we go. All right. So, at this point, I would like to invite Ming Yin Fa Shi to come sit with me. Or do we have a mic for him? Good. We got one right here. And Qing. This is Dharma Master Ming Yin. He's the Dharma brother of 你舒服在哪里坐吗都可以上来都可以欢迎坐那边 okay 好 Dharma Master Ming Yin is from Bailin Si in Shijiazhuang. Can we get the camera? Is that possible? You're gonna yeah, we need our tech folks. Want everybody to see Master Ming Yin. He is the Dharma brother of Master Ming Hai, who was the abbot of Bailin Si. He's also a fellow cultivator with Dharma Master Ming Han from Da Kai Yuan Si in Xingtai. So he's a student now in Los Angeles at Shilai University and has been here to study how the Mahayana tradition is coming to America, and we hope that he will continue to be a bridge person on the bridge, bringing the Chinese Mahayana to the West and taking it back. So, 请明海法师呢，就跟大家介绍一下。
阿弥陀佛。阿弥陀佛。首先，at first I'm sorry I don't have so many jokes, but only 阿弥陀佛。
There you go.
OK， 尊敬的恒师法师，晋传法师，晋伟法师，还有各位居士、各位朋友，大家晚上好。首先，请允许我使用阿弥陀佛这个圣号向大家问候打招呼。阿弥陀佛。
So, can you do it? Do we have two mics, or can you?
Okay.
Can you pass it?
Pass
okay?
it, yeah. So this is Dharma Master Ming Yin. He says that he first wants to. He said that in English already that he doesn't have as many jokes, but he will say Amitabha Buddha in kind of response. And the tricky thing about using that, Alan, is that mic is the same mic as
Alan,
Dharma Master's.
it's competing with my
so
mic.
we don't want to use that one. Yeah. So he
Alan?
first started Reverend Heng Sure, Dharma Masters, and all good laity. Amitabha.
很荣幸，这是我 第二次来到宣化上人的道场，其实每当我想到这个不可思议的因缘，其实我也想到，我也能够回忆起与宣化上人的一点点法缘。是这样，在2010年的时候，我去河北百灵禅寺，准备出家。在寺院呢，它有一个要求，你要出家呢，要先做一段时间的净人，或者叫做行者，他要考验你，看看你到底能不能够适应寺院的生活。
You turn on. Oop. What happened? Maybe it popped out. It was on a minute ago.
So, what's that? Hello. Okay, so, just to begin, I actually have I always think about my affinities coming here to the monastery, and it's really inconceivable. I had a starting Dharma affinity with Venerable Master Hua. When I went to Hebei to Bailing Monastery to prepare to become a monk, to leave home, I started off as a trainee, and this is kind of they say a pure layperson who's kind of in preparation to become a monk, and that time is a time to kind of stay in the monastery and learn the ropes, to get a sense that is the monastic life really a suitable place for me.
其中作为考验的最重要的一部分内容呢，就是背诵冷言咒。人们都说在冷言咒也叫做愣半年，什么意思呢？就是说你要把这个冷言咒完全的能够背下来，熟练的应用在早课上，你大概需要有半年的时间。
So one of the major tests during that period is memorizing the Shurangama mantra. There's a saying that you have to kind of be in a muddle, kind of in a cloud for about a half a year.
In a daze.
In a daze for a half a year, because it takes that long to memorize the Shurangama mantra, so you can use it during morning ceremony.
当时呢，我只用了1个星期的时间，然后就把冷言咒背下来了。
1个星期。
1个星期 ，one week. Yeah.
Oh. Now they all know what that means. They've tried it. So, 1个星期了。
我是怎么做到的呢？就是因为当时我使用了宣化上人他翻译并且注音版本的那个冷言咒那个小册子啊。
So I was able to memorize the Shurangama mantra in a week. So how was I able to do this? I used the Venerable Master's book, which had 注音. You mean the pinyin?
Yeah, pinyin.
So the romanization in English?
Use the Hanyu pinyin.
Oh yeah, so Chinese pinyin to use that recitation book to memorize it.
其中在书上宣化上人用注解部分呢，告诉了我冷言咒的功用，以及它的威力。然后让我对冷言咒呢以及冷言经产生了无比的好药之心，然后其中注音的部分呢，又能够使我很快很正确的发出那个咒字正确的读音，就是这样，在7天内，我每天就是在欢喜的背诵着冷言咒，然后7天就能够把它背诵下来。
So at that time, the book also had Master Hua's explanation, talking about the use of it, its benefits, and its connection to the Shurangama Sutra. And so this really inspired me and also made me very curious about the mantra. The pinyin included in the book was such that it allowed me to be able to pronounce the mantra characters very accurately. And so in this way, I was able to, in a week, memorize the mantra very joyfully and happily.
我想这就是我最初与宣化上人结的这个缘，然后以致今天能够来到咱们伯克利的这个道场。我想这也是宣化上人冥冥之中的一种加持力。
So this was an early connection, an early affinity with Master Hua that you can say bit by bit, the fruition is here. I'm able to come here to Berkeley Buddhist Monastery. Perhaps also it's the compassionate aid or support of Master Hua.
然而今天像我这样，继续在寺院想出家的行者或者是敬人，有多少呢？大概有多少人在用宣化上人的这个注解和注音的版本呢？大概有70%，甚至是最少有70%以上的人在使用，在继续使用宣化上人的这个注音和注解这个版本。
So today, how many people among those who are wanting to become monastics are using this book that has Master Hua's commentary as well as the romanization in Pinyin? In my estimate, there's at least 70% of the monastics are using this to memorize and study the Shurangama mantra.
从这个角度来说，我能作为一个出家人，能成为一个合格的出家众，还有以及像我这样所有使用宣化上人对冷言咒注音及注解版本的这些出家人呢，我们都要感恩宣化上人。然后，我想这也是宣化上人，他老人家的功德，以及他的远见，因为他对就像是恒实法师所说的，对原著、对经典做了让我们能够理解，用我们能够理解的方式，在讲解着经典的内容。
So for myself, as well as all the monastics who are using this booklet to be able to study the Shurangama mantra, we have a deep, debt of gratitude to Master Hua. It's really his merit and also his vision in teaching the Dharma. He makes the sutras, he explains the sutra in a very approachable manner that's very understandable and logical.
然后我是在去年的秋天，2017年的秋天来到美国，然后这也是我第一次出国，然后美国所有的一切呢，对我一个第一次出国的人来讲都非常的新鲜，但是呢也是非常的陌生。因为我在西来大学读书，学校在开学前呢带着我们的学生去了一趟西来寺。
So 2016年还是2017年？2017年。Okay, yeah. So last year, 2017, in autumn, I came to America for the first time. This was, you could say, a very new experience for me. But in addition to being new, it was also very, you could say, strange, unfamiliar. And so when I arrived at University of the West, they brought me to the monastery, Shilai Monastery.
当我一到西来寺的时候，我看到了西来寺的建筑，因为它是仿古的建筑，让我有一种特别亲切的感觉。我感觉在太平洋的彼岸，还能看到自己熟悉的寺院建筑，就让我感觉有一种回到家的感觉。但是当我又发现，西来寺所有的法师也好，居士也好，乃至所有的访客，大部分都是华人的时候，我又有一种莫名的悲伤的感觉。
So when I got to Shilai Monastery, I was able to see the architecture there, and we could say it was like coming home, because the architecture was Chinese. It was a traditional Chinese style, and so being able to come to America and find something that's similar to home had a sense of homecoming, coming home. But then as I looked into it further, I saw that all the monastics, the laity, and those who were visitors coming to the monastery, they were all Chinese, very, very few Westerners. And that created a kind of a sense of, you could say, sadness in my heart.
因为我认为寺院最主要的功用，它的功能，并不仅仅是为了好看，它更重要的是为了传播佛法而建造。这是我在美国呢，我认为我们应该有责任让美国人，或者是让更多的非华裔的人来走到我们这个佛教的寺院里面，来了解我们的佛教的教义以及我们佛教的文化。
This is because I felt that the monastery is not just for you could say a good or adorned appearance, but that it really should be a place that transmits the Dharma, that teaches the Dharma, and that we have a responsibility to really teach the Dharma to Westerners, to Americans, to those who are not Chinese, so that they can draw near the Dharma.
这种悲伤的感觉呢，我是将近持续了有1年之久，直到今年10月份来到旧金山参加宣化上人100周年的寿辰活动的时候呢，我才了解了宣化上人在美国弘法的事迹，然后见到宣化上人的诸大弟子，以及在传弟子，这些法师当中有好多都是美国人。如恒实法师的
So I had this sadness in my heart for maybe about a year until October of this year, and there was this centennial event for Master Hua, and I participated, and this was my opportunity to draw near, you could say, the early disciples, you could say the senior disciples of Master Hua, as well as some of his current younger disciples. And so that many of them were actually Westerners. Reverend Heng Sure, for instance, was one such person.
他们虽然是美国人呢，他是有长着美国的面孔，但是他们的穿着与我们国内的法师的穿着是一样的。而且我还有一种感觉，就是我在恒实法师的身上呢，我看到了，我的师兄老师长吧，像明海大和尚以及明翰大和尚的影子。我想这可能就是因为这是由虚云老和尚这个法脉所传下来的这种传承，然后使大家具备这样共同的气质，这也是我感觉到在这里非常亲切的原因。
So it's inspiring to see all these Americans studying the Dharma. And one is Reverend Heng Sure, that when I saw him, there was something that was very familiar, that I think has an affinity with Dharma Master Ming Hai and Dharma Master Ming Han, who are, you could say, my senior monastics in China, who are both disciples of Elder Master Jing Hui, who was a disciple of Master Empty Cloud. And so there's this kind of similarity, there's a kind of a striking image there. And as I reflect on it, I think it's because they all come from the line, the lineage of Master Empty Cloud. And so there's a kind of shared spirit, shared characteristic.
从此我又开始对美国的汉传佛教产生了很大的信心。我认为这就是正法的所在。然后通过这2天呢，与我们 Berkeley 道场恒实法师交谈过程当中，给我一个最大的感触之处，就是恒实法师讲到宣化上人，讲到修道人的6大宗旨，不争、不贪、不求、不自私、不自利，以及不打妄语。
So from being able to see that, and also coming here to Berkeley Buddhist Monastery, you can say I renewed my faith in the Chinese Buddhism's future here in the West, in America, and being able to have a conversation and interview Reverend Heng Sure about Buddhism here in the West. One of my great deep impressions was his explanation of Master Hua's teachings on the 6 great principles: not fighting, not being greedy, not seeking, not being selfish, not pursuing personal advantage, and not lying. Not being selfish and not lying.
我想大家可能对这6大宗旨已经像恒实法师一样，都已经听烦了，并且当金传师在翻译的时候，在说的时候，也好像是把这6大宗旨变成了一个口号，然后再赶紧的把它念完一样。
So this is something that it sounds like is a very familiar for everyone, that we hear this all the time, that when the translator, myself, is reciting it, it's like just reciting it without really thinking about it.
Ding ding ding.
那在我这个感触之前呢，我先给大家讲一个小故事，然后大家再来回味一下上人讲的这六大宗旨的意义。在唐朝的时候，我们在中国呢有好多非常有名的禅宗的高僧大德，其中有一位受人尊敬并被人广泛流传的呢，叫做鸟巢禅师。
So I'd like to tell a story to kind of illustrate the principle. During the Tang Dynasty, there was a high sangam, a high monk, nest, a bird nest monk, bird nest Chan monk, Chan master bird nest.
Okay. 无论怎么翻译他的名字吧，我认为这个禅师都不会怪罪我们的，对吧？然后呢，这位禅师为什么被人熟知呢？因为他有一个非常有名的弟子，他的弟子呢既是一位大诗人，还又做过唐朝的一个宰相，他叫做白居易。为什么白居易像这样的一个非常有见识的人，他会选择鸟巢禅师来做他的师傅呢？
So this Chan master bird nest, was actually quite famous, and but he actually had a disciple that was even more well known, named Bai Ju Yi. And this person was actually not just a poet, but also a prime minister, and so very, very well known. And so the question is, why would this prime minister, with his, you could say, scholarly knowledge, learning, and everything, choose Chan Master Bird Nest as a teacher?
好，事情是这样的，有一次呢，白居易出了远门，他走啊走啊，走到了一个非常高、非常大的一个大树下面。他抬头一看呢，这个树上啊，竟然住着一个老和尚。然后呢，他就非常惊讶地对这个老和尚说：“老和尚，您住在那么高的树上，将近15米左右，这个太危险了。”
So the story goes that this prime minister, Bai Ju, was walking along one day and got to this really, really tall tree, this huge tree. And he looked up in the tree and he saw an old monk living there. And he called out to the monk, "Old monk, why are you living up in the tree? It's too dangerous. That's about 15 meters up, which would be about 45 feet. You're 45 feet up there. That's too dangerous."
这个老和尚就告诉他呢，他说：“哇，你看我危险，我看你啊，比我更危险。”白居易说：“我是个政府官员，我有固定的 salary， 然后呢，我也是一人之下，万人之上，我有什么可危险的呢？”
So the monk called down to him, "You think it's dangerous up here, but I look down at you and I see you're even in a more dangerous situation than me." And so the prime minister replied, "What do you mean? I'm an official. I've got a set salary, I have no problem, food's no problem, and I am in a situation where there's only one person above me and everyone else is below me, so I'm really got high status."
老和尚就说：“日夜不停交替，生死轮回不停，然后你时时刻刻都面临着死亡的危险，难道这不是一种危险吗？”就是 day and night,
constantly continue to change,
and 生死不停的轮回。
Okay, so the days go by constantly, and the cycle of rebirth turns on and on. So you have to face death at any time. So how do you not say that you're in a dangerous situation?
白居易一听呢，就马上意识到这是一位高僧，这不是一位普普通通的住在树上的一个山僧，就是一个普通的和尚。他马上就跪下来向这位高僧求法。他就想说，他就问老和尚，请你开示什么是佛法的最主要的法义。
So at this point, the prime minister realized that this was no ordinary sangha. He was a real, you could say, lofty cultivator. And so he immediately kneeled and put his palms together and asked for the Dharma. He asked, what what is the real meaning of the Dharma?
老和尚说，诸恶莫作，众善奉行，这就是道。
So this monk said, do no evil, cultivate all good. This is the way.
白居易突然就说：“这个3岁小孩子都会啊，这个还用你讲啊？”
So this Prime Minister said, you know, a 3-year-old knows this, and you still have to say this?
老和尚说：“是的，这个3岁小孩子都会说，但是呢，80岁的人呢，并不一定他能够做得到。所以呢，这就是道，你好好去实践吧。”
So he said, true, a 3-year-old child knows this, but an 80-year-old person like yourself still can't do it, or 80-year-old person still can't do it. And so you take this teaching and you go and apply it.
没错，我认为就是越是高深的这种佛法的道理，它并不一定是非常玄妙的，它应该是最平常的，它是能够在我们日常生活当中，我们每一个人都能够去实践的。就像是宣化上人所讲的不贪这一个宗旨。
So you could say that the Dharma of the high monks, the real well-cultivated monks, their teachings aren't far away and lofty and kind of obscure, but rather they're very ordinary, right here, right now, immediately applicable. So there's something we can use in daily life. So this teaching of not being greedy is one of such, which is just this way.
以前的祖师来讲这个贪的时候，来解释不贪的时候呢，他是这样子说：他说，道念如同贪念，成佛多时。什么意思呢？就是说，我们平常人每天甚至每时每刻都有一种贪婪的心，我们就想，许多的好事情。美好的事情都发生在自己身上，然后所有的不好的事情呢，都远离自己。所有的这些念头呢，就是我们这些种种的贪念、种种的习气。如果说我们每天把我们的这些贪念、这些念头，都转换成念佛，或者是说转换成参禅打坐，转换成这个念头的话。那我们早已经成佛了。
So the patriarch's explanation on greed or not having greed is that as ordinary people, we have a greedy mind. We constantly have thoughts of good and bad. We want good things to be far away, good things to come near us, and bad things to stay far away. And so we have this mind of greed, and we develop these habitual ways of thinking and acting. But if we can turn this around and use our mind to recite the Buddha's name, to be mindful of the Buddha, or to focus on Chan practice, then if we could have done that already, then very early on we would have already become Buddhas.
或许现在在这个佛台上供的，除了我们三世佛、阿弥陀佛，还有我们宣化上人的照片之外，还应该把你的照片也给供上去，供我们礼拜，因为这个时候你已经是成佛的人。
So it'd be like,
就是因为他已经他的道念如同贪念，他成佛多时，也就是说，他虽然现在还是个活着的人，但是呢，他已经成佛了。我们也可以就把他的形象就供到佛台上去。不是这个成不是这个成，是这个成佛这个对。
Okay, so if this person doesn't have any greed, is able to turn all their thoughts from being greedy, thinking of good and bad, and cultivating, then you can put that person's picture on the altar and pay its respect, because that person would have become a Buddha. Just like we have on the altar here, we have the various Buddha images and even Master Hua. Then you can put that image on the altar and we can bow to it.
OK，今天这是我给大家所分享的内容，然后感恩法师给我这个机会，然后也感恩大家，阿弥陀佛。
So I'll finish my Dharma talk here. I'm extremely grateful for this opportunity to share with everyone. I'm grateful to Rebbe Heng Sure for giving me the opportunity, and for everyone in attendance. Amitabha.
Okay, yeah. Thinking of Chan Master Bird's Nest. I wonder if it was a kookaburra or what kind of a bird was he? So maybe an owl. What's that? Yeah, my life as a turkey. That's right. Yeah. So. Okay, so Ming Yin Fa Shi is happy that he was able to follow affinities, and 所以这个缘分呢，就到 Berkeley 来跟大家接上发言。So we 时常都欢迎，常常回来了。Yeah， 我们希望净慧长老的弟子们跟玄华上来的弟子们，可以就把这个桥梁弄得很坚固了，就经常来回，这样子正法周助了。We hope that the disciples of Master Jinghui, our Dharma brothers and sisters, and the disciples of Master Xuanhua will be able to make this bridge from east to west and back solid and stable, and have our exchange continue over the years. That's our hope. Thank you. We're in the second day of our 3-day Buddha recitation. Tomorrow's day number 3 here. Those of you who want to take part, you see our Rebirth plaques and our Long Life plaques here. These are the dedications by people who are reciting. Tomorrow, beginning at 8 a.m. 明天8点钟, please come and check it out if you haven't done that before. Try reciting the Buddha's name. It's another state entirely. Limitless light, 无量光. Tuesday night at Tion's Tea Shop, the last Tea and Dharma of 2018. So, over on 4th Street, Tion's Tea Shop, I'm going to be there, and Yadola has picked our topic for us, which is the true meaning of emptiness. So, first empty your teacup, and there it is. It's manifesting in front of you, right there. No more tea, empty. So you should come over to Tion's. Check it out. Tuesday night, 7:30. Some of the world's finest tea will be served. Some of the world's finest Dharma will be discussed, right? First class Dharma. So I hope that should we all try to get there. What do you think? Won't be too late. I'll hang out. Get a chance to Tion's, the Tea and Dharma at Tion's is really fun. Then, what else? Alex DeGrassi, Monday. This is Saturday, Sunday, Monday night at Dharmaram Buddhist University at City of 10,000 Buddhas. Our friend Alex DeGrassi is going to be appearing. Alex is a resident of Redwood Valley, so he just comes around the corner. But Alex is a world-class musician, composer, and a guitarist. If anybody, some of you will remember Windham Hill, the label. It's a record label from the 80s and 90s. It was popular. Kind of that time is gone, but now they're doing Windham Hill retrospectives. Alex DeGrassi was one of the founders of Windham Hill, solo fingerstyle guitar. He is a pioneer in that style. But more importantly, he's also a thinker and a philosopher. He's a graduate of UC Berkeley in geology and also a carpenter, house builder. But Alex is coming Monday night to DRBU from 7:45 to 9 to talk about creativity, music, and spirituality. We're going to ask him questions like, when the muse comes and you're filled with that spirit and you can write compositions that didn't exist before, kind of you pull them out of space, what happens when it goes away? Which it does. What's that like? How do you sustain a lifetime of creativity in the arts over years and years, as he has done? So challenge him, push him. He'll respond. Alex doesn't get enough push to talk about what he does. But I spent a week with him, 1 year learning guitar, and Alex is a Mendocino County treasurer. So his wife Allison will be there, and I really hope people will show up to take advantage of this, our neighbor who can help us create the music department at Dharma Buddhist University. He's a real creative artist in our midst. Okay, otherwise, Wednesday is Awaken Circle. Can I have the mic back so I can? Wednesday, I'll be down at Nipun's for the Awaken Circle. That's me this week. Jin He Shi? Is there an update on Guqin? I don't. I haven't heard from Alan. Yeah. So Alan Yip was going to host a Guqin recital on. Actually, it was the day of the great smoke out, and so we didn't do it. But no, we don't. Actually, Jin He Shi, we don't yet. So no news. We'll find out. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Oh, you are. So speaking as a student, what's the scoop, Suzanne? Saturday at 1:30. Okay, she knows. There. Which Saturday? This coming 下个星期六吧. That's the first. What time? Okay, there we go. Saturday, December 1st at 1:30 here in the Buddha Hall, Guqin recital. Students of Alan, will you be performing? Awesome. All right. Great, I'm glad you know. Jerry, how many people today? YouTube 60? 50? 85? 55, so China beats the US by 5. Oh, that's the trend. Grow and grow. Go, 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 USA, USA. YouTube. No. Okay. The back of your songbook, Dedicate Merit. A lot of people who are facing the reality of fire-forced homelessness. Think of that state. What a lot of suffering. Think of all the turkeys who gave their lives for our Thanksgiving. They count. Check out My Life as a Turkey on YouTube. Make a wish, dedication of merit. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share the fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can bind in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward, may all who sorrow leave their grief. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of their endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May it be so. Okay, we'll see you all next week. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Namo